So I decided to come outside today. It's a little cool. You might hear a little bit of traffic in the background because of the roads. It's about a little more than a football field's length away, but you can still hear the traffic. Right now it is spring, so now we're trying to clean up from all the winter stuff. But I just wanted to touch base a little bit on some of the pros and cons of living in the city versus living in the country. You hear the cars going by? I have learned a lot. So my whole life, those of you that don't know me, I was a city boy. I basically lived in mid to large cities with a lot of businesses, a lot of people, a lot of traffic. And when I moved to the country, I didn't have a lot of knowledge about this life. You know what I'm saying? I didn't realize how much there was to learn. So my wife and I, we decided, we wanted some land. We wanted to not be close to people, because the last house that we lived in Phoenix, I mean, it was literally, you walk out the front door, you were 10 feet from the sidewalk. I remember one year somebody stole our Christmas lights out of the yard. We had these cool little snowflake things that shined on the house. And I woke up the next morning to go to work, and I don't see my lights flashing. I see the extension cord. I'm surprised they didn't steal the extension cord. But one of the pros of living in the country versus living in the city is, not saying that there's still not theft, but it's few and far and in between. Like, I had cameras in Phoenix, but I also have cameras around my property here. But we've been here about 4 years, and I've had no issues with any possibilities of somebody stealing something. There's been many nights I've fallen asleep, forgot to lock the door. I mean, I got guns everywhere in the house. So if you're thinking about doing something stupid, I ain't the one to play with. But when you look around, let me just kind of show you. So if you look around, you can kind of see the setting that we live in. We have one neighbor over here, kind of get along. But as you look out here, like even right now, I'm looking out here thinking, man, I got to cut all this grass, and then some even behind me. There's a lot to do. We just recently bought some rubber mulch, because this black mulch that you see, you have to replace it every year. So it's a lot of little nuances that I'm figuring out that I didn't have to deal with in the city. You know what I'm saying? In the city, I had like a little postage stamp of a front yard, so it wasn't so bad. I could go out there in an hour and make the whole yard look nice. Edge the sidewalks, plant flowers, use Miracle-Gro. I mean, I had beautiful flowers. I used to love cutting the grass. And my wife, she teases me because when we were looking at this place, she's like, honey, I don't know if you realize, but that's a lot of grass. I'm like, oh, I love cutting the grass. It'll be great. Man, this is about 5.5 acres of cutting. So thankfully I have a mower that can cut it, but it still takes me about 6 hours, maybe longer, when I'm weed whacking as well. So that's one of the negatives of living in the country, especially when you got a lot of land. If I was to buy again, I definitely wouldn't buy a house with as much land that needs to be cut. We got a couple of hay fields over there that thankfully I have a neighbor who, I told him, I said, dude, if you cut it, you can have the hay. Like even stuff like that. I knew nothing about hay. I knew nothing about equipment. I knew nothing about brush hogs. Some of you have heard the joke if you've watched any of my videos. I thought a brush hog was an animal. I had no idea what it was. Come to find out, it's just like a big piece of equipment that cuts down heavy brush. Just tractors, never had a need for a tractor. ATVs, hunting. I still got people trying to get me into deer hunting. I still ain't, I might do it one time just to try it, but I think one of the things I like about living out here in the country is I can shoot my guns whenever I want to. You know what I'm saying? When I lived in Phoenix, you shoot your guns, the cops is rolling up, knocking on your door, confiscating them. Out here, shoot, you can shoot much as you want, no issues whatsoever. And it's nice because over here, if I can show you, up here, I'm shooting into the hillside. So I usually shoot from over here and I shoot that direction. So I'm shooting into the hillside, and it's safe. I'm not worried. My closest neighbor is probably a mile that way. So I'm pretty good as far as so I'm actually in a pretty good position as far as being able to use my weapon. You know what I mean? So as far as just the serenity, I love the serenity and the beauty of nature. One of my pet peeves is birds. Like right now, this gazebo that I'm standing on, I have probably 4 birds' nests up here. I can see at least 6 or 7 wasp nests. I have carpenter bee traps up here. There's a trade-off. I was telling my wife earlier, I said, you know, when we lived in the city, I don't remember ever seeing birds building nests. You know, it's like they love their habitat, which is nature, not so much cement city, if you know what I mean. So, but there's a lot of good living here. There's also some cons. One of the cons that I've experienced living here is not being very close to things. So when I lived in Phoenix, I had a Home Depot within almost a stone's throw of my house, less than 1,000 yards from my house. Every other business was a fast food restaurant. Like if I wanted Panda Express, Wendy's, McDonald's, Burger King, I mean, you name the restaurant, it was there. You know what I'm saying? So I enjoyed having things close. Out here, down the road about a mile, we got a Taco Bell, and we got a greasy, cheesy pizza place, which is not my favorite. So in order for me to go get some food, I have to drive to the local city, which is probably about 20 minutes. Now, if I want to go to Lowe's, I remember when we first moved here, we were remodeling some of the downstairs. And whenever I had to get materials, I had to drive out to Lowe's. Oh, I hated it. I mean, I'm talking, it's about a 50-minute drive one way. You know, so you get kind of spoiled when you live in the city, having everything convenient. And then you got to drive an hour just to get a toilet or something. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of crazy. But looking back, I wouldn't trade it for the world. It's funny because I spent my whole life in the city. And last year, my brother-in-law passed away. So we went back up to Cleveland to the funeral. And I'm telling you, just driving through Columbus, because we're in Southeast Ohio, just the traffic on the freeway systems, I was like, man, it was almost like I lost the ability to drive in that crap. I'm not saying I couldn't drive in it. I just hated it. It's like I love having 2-lane roads with hardly any traffic, any people, any noise. Like you hear how quiet it is right now. Just listen. You don't hear motorcycles racing up and down the street. You don't hear loud noises. You don't hear just the city noises. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of perks, you know, to living in the country versus the city. If I had to sum it all up, I would stay out here in the sticks. I like it. You know, I like being within a half hour's drive of things. You know, I wouldn't want to be so far out that I'm an hour to the closest store. I'm at least 15, 20 minutes to a Walmart if I need to go get some groceries or whatever. But it's just a lot of trade-offs, you know what I mean? There's so much space here. We can plant our own gardens. The house that we bought here has a wood burner. I love having a place to store all my wood. As you can see here, this is some of the wood left over from this winter. I mean, we have a geothermal heating and cooling system, but the problem with the geothermal is makes your electric bill go up. And this is the best heat that you can have, to be honest with you, this wood heat. So drop some comments in the comment section, those of you that have experienced both. If you've lived in the city and you've gone from the city to the country, for the country to the city, I want to get some feedback on what it is that you like, what you didn't like about it. Would you stay where you're at? Are you wanting to move? Because like I said, for me, my wife and I, we are planted, you know. Still want to build our dream house, because when I retired in 2020, we needed a place to move to, so we just purchased this place. But one of the downfalls of buying a home that wasn't built to your specs is you deal with a lot of the things that the previous homeowners did, and you have no idea what they did. We recently had to replace the water line because this guy's got water lines running everywhere, you know, and one busts over here and the next one busts over there, and I'm trying to figure all this stuff out. So when we ran the new water line, we just cut it off, so we know now where it's at. It goes from the meter to the house. Like over here, he had water running all over here to that little building over there. I don't know if you can see that little blue building right there behind me, but he had water running over there. We don't necessarily need water over there, so I told my wife, I said, we're not doing that, you know. So it's stuff like that, you know, dealing with what the previous homeowner did. You're not knowing where they have electrical wires running underground. I mean, this guy's got wires running underground that I know not of. So it's just, and I'm not complaining. I'm just pointing out some of the nuances that go with being a homeowner, you know what I mean? Pitfalls, some of the ups and downs that go along, whether you're living in the country or in the city. But overall, I love where we're at. I think I want to stay in this area. I like this area. I would say, to sum this video up, the biggest negatives about living in the country versus the city is not a whole lot is close by. That would be the biggest one. One of the biggest pros is generally the people are very friendly and very helpful. We've had more people come to help us pull up in the driveway. And again, I wasn't used to that. For one, I was a cop. And for two, I was like, didn't trust nobody. So you come pulling up in my driveway, I got my gun in my hip. You know what I'm saying? But I have learned, and that city way of thinking has kind of gone more to the countryside of things now, where I don't see people that way anymore. I understand that people are just neighborly here. And it's kind of a refreshing way to see people, because when you live in the city, it's just like crackheads and meth addicts, and it's not every city. It's just, you know, our last experience, you know, we'd have people riding down our street that I clearly knew were meth addicts, you know. It's just, you just knew it, you know what I'm saying? So out here, they have them, but I don't see them around where I live at. So like I said before, it has its trade-offs, and I'm not trying to be critical against people that struggle with drug addiction, trust me. I'm just saying we all want what we want, and we like what we like. So I love the peace and quiet of the country. I don't think I would ever move back to a city if you paid me. But if you're looking for some grass to cut, feel free to come help, because there's plenty. I think I'm gonna try to get it done this weekend. So, I don't know. Well, it's a little chilly out here. I'm about to head back inside. I just wanted to come outside and enjoy the beauty of nature and just kind of look at all the stuff I'm going to have to get ready to do here in the near future. Let me show you another project, and then I'm going to get in the house. So over here, where you see these pavers, this is where we had to dig the water line. So right about where that gutter is, the water line goes under the ground and it runs almost out to the road. If you can see the road there. So the last couple of days, I've been laying these pavers after I put all the dirt and the gravel back. And I'm going to run the pavers up past the edge of the house and then kind of cut around the corner. So it's just a lot of work. You know, it's just always something to do. There's some things we need to do to the above ground pool. I still got to get this concrete block out of here. I got to get these old pavers out of here. It's just homeownership. You know what I'm saying? It's just homeownership. All right, I'm about to head in. Make sure you like this video if you haven't already. Also subscribe to the channel. Love you guys, and I will check you on the next one. It's a little chilly out here. I'm going inside the house. Talk to you later.